Good evening, barflies and lounge lizards, and welcome to Glow in the Dark Cinema. And tonight we'll be taking a look at Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1956. Directed by Don Siegel, Invasion of the Body Snatchers is a sci-fi mystery with elements of film noir. Some even consider it to be an essential film in the genre of sci-fi noir. And it tells the story of a small-town doctor who suddenly starts getting patients claiming that someone they know is an imposter. Soon he receives a call from a friend who has found a featureless corpse in the closet. Though really, who hasn't? Upon investigating, he finds that there may be something to this whole imposter thing, especially after the featureless corpse starts to change. Which leads to one of the best responses I've ever seen in a film when something wonky goes down.
No, you mustn't go near it! Get out of here, please!
Now, she wasn't fooling around. Things begin to snowball and our hero discovers that there's far more to the imposters than he ever could have imagined. As mentioned, this one has film noir elements and even features narration by the main character. And let me tell you, I dig narration. I even prefer Blade Runner with the voiceover. I know, unpopular opinion, I can just hear the angry fingers typing now. Director Siegel was a producer and director with a resume that includes Flaming Star with Elvis, The Killers, Dirty Harry, and 2 episodes of The Twilight Zone, Uncle Simon, and The Self-Improvement of Salvador Ross. Twilight Zone stuff really hasn't gone over very well on the channel, but gosh darn it, I'm mentioning it anyways. The film stars Kevin McCarthy, who you probably know best from the genre-defining, Academy Award-winning dramas UHF by Alfred Matthew Yankovic and Ghoulies 3, Ghoulies Go to College. McCarthy also appeared on the original Twilight Zone as well as the 1983 film. Look at that, not even a minute later and I'm already talking Twilight Zone again. McCarthy also worked with Joe Dante quite a few times, including The Howling, Inner Space, and Looney Tunes Back in Action. And if you haven't seen Looney Tunes Back in Action, it features one of the best nods to classic sci-fi ever put on film. Next we have Dana Winter as our other lead. Winter didn't do much in the world of sci-fi, this being her most memorable role. She was on an episode of The Wild Wild West though. Then we have King Donovan, how cool a name is that, as the corpse-discovering friend. Donovan was a stage, film, and TV actor. Sci-fi wise, he appeared in films such as The Magnetic Monster and The Beast from 20,000 Fathoms, as well as an episode of Night Gallery. And finally, because there's just too many people to mention, Whit Bissell for example, I wanted to mention a lady by the name of Carolyn Jones, who you probably know best from a little show known as The Addams Family. But she was also in Batman 66, Wonder Woman, and Kolchak the Night Stalker. Perhaps we should add Batman 66 to the snack bar drinking game. I'll stop there though. The film's effects are simple but very cool, and they are credited to 2 people. The first being Milt Rice, who also worked on Damnation Alley, Gargoyles from '72, and Queen of Outer Space. The second, who is credited for the pods, is Don Post. That's right, the Don Post of Don Post Studios, creators of some of the coolest monster masks ever made. Not to mention, because I haven't made a Gorilla Man reference yet in this episode and it's starting to itch, he created the head, hands, and feet of Kogar, the gorilla suit of Bob Burns. Invasion of the Body Snatchers was based on the 1954/1955 novel The Body Snatchers by Jack Finney. Now you might want to jump ahead about 20 seconds because I'm about to discuss a spoiler for both the book and the film. Okay, you ready? You better not still be here. I have a way of knowing. But in the ending of the book, the pod people decide that taking over the Earth just isn't worth it, so they jump ship and leave the Earth behind. Spoiler over. And speaking of endings, in a non-spoiler way, the film originally ended on a darker note, concluding with the famous scene of McCarthy screaming at traffic like a crazy person. But the studio didn't want to end on such a pessimistic note, so the framing story was added a bit later. Both director Don Siegel and producer Walter Wagner were against this. Siegel directed the added scenes nonetheless, with Wagner fearing the studio would ruin the picture. The screenplay for the film was written by Daniel Mainwaring, aka Jeffrey Holmes, who was a screenwriter and novelist. It's very worth noting that he wrote both the original novel and screenplay for the film noir Out of the Past. Invasion of the Body Snatchers was released on a double bill, in some areas, with the British film The Atomic Man. And talk about a good pairing, because The Atomic Man is another sci-fi film with a noir-esque quality. Thanks, Tony. The Body Snatchers would go on to receive 3 additional adaptations, including Invasion of the Body Snatchers from 1978, Body Snatchers from 1993, and The Invasion from 2007. But more importantly, a Looney Tunes parody entitled Invasion of the Bunny Snatchers was released in 1992. And Kevin McCarthy would return to the world of the Body Snatchers in both the 1978 remake and Looney Tunes Back in Action. The film's music was by composer and conductor Carmen Dragon. And I don't know if that's how you actually pronounce his last name, but I don't care. It's Dragon in my book. He didn't do anything else sci-fi wise, but he did a good job with this film. Invasion of the Body Snatchers has been released on VHS, Betamax, DVD, Blu-ray, and Laserdisc. And I give this one 3.5, possibly 4, probably 4 atomic popcorns out of 5. This really is a classic among classic sci-fi. Not to mention this. How awesome was that? And if you need any more convincing after that, well, you may actually be a pod person. So one last thing before we go, I had a question for Mr. McCarthy. So Mr. McCarthy, what'd you think of the show? And what would you compare my hosting style to?
A festering ball of dog snot.
Fair enough. And that's all the time we have for this week. Please like, comment, subscribe, watch the skies, and stay atomic.
Who will be next to launch man in space?
Me!
And so can you with Deluxe Man in Space set. You get a rocket launcher, defense base, and 3 different nose cones. Up goes the astronaut to the top of the launcher. The gantry moves in. The space capsule is locked on the mighty Atlas rocket. Blast off! There he goes! Man in space! Enemy bombers approaching. Flash the alert. Open fire!
Deluxe Man in Space, complete with missile base. With astronaut and satellite, you send them into flight. 3, 2, 1, fire! Deluxe Man in Space.
Wow, what a toy! Deluxe Man in Space is sold only at food markets.
Wait, don't break that egg. There's a better way to make your hair shine. It's Richard Hudnut Enriched Cream Shampoo. A golden lotion with real eggs powdered in to give all the benefits of an old-fashioned shampoo the easy way. Enriched Cream Shampoo leaves hair wonderfully clean and manageable. And see the wonderful sheen in our hair. You'll have it, too, with Enriched Cream Shampoo. And for the perfect shampoo finish, Richard Hudnut Cream Rinse.